A planet full of apes. Young people express climate angst. A planet full of apes. Young people express climate angst. Around climate change protests, tears linger. Youthful activists cite all too depressing science and develop angst. They grieve for future they worry they will never have. They grieve for future they worry they will never have. Many young climate activists say they feel hopeless and overwhelmed. Psychologists say it's sometimes called climate change anxiety. Sarah Warren, a Chicago psychologist, said she sees the anxiety as relatively widespread. A sense of helplessness underlies the anxiety, Warren said. For young people, climate anxiety is a very tough thing for them to take. How grown-ups react is critical to them. Many grown-ups are in their corner and recognize the anxiety. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, speaking at the UN on Wednesday, talked of children who write him letters about their concerns for their future, including about climate change. Our children have a right not just to their future but to their optimism, Morrison said. Above all, we must let our children be children, let our kids be kids, let our teenagers be teenagers. While we do the work positively together to deliver the practical solutions for them and their future. A planet full of apes, young people express climate angst. Around climate change protests, tears linger. Youthful activists cite all too depressing science and develop angst. They grieve for a future they worry they will never have. Many young climate activists say they feel hopeless and overwhelmed. Psychologists say Psychologists say it's sometimes called climate change anxiety. Sarah Warren, a Chicago psychologist, said she sees the anxiety as relatively widespread. A sense of helplessness underlies the anxiety, Warren said. For young people, climate anxiety is a very tough thing for them to take. How grown-ups react is crucial to them. Many grown-ups are in their corner and recognize the anxiety. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison speak at the UN on Wednesday. Prime talked of children who write him letters about their concerns for their future, including about climate change. Our children have a right not just to their future but to their optimism, Morrison said. Above all, we must let our children be children, let our kids be kids, let our teenagers be teenagers, while we do the work positively, together to deliver the practical solutions for them and their future. A planet full of ifs. Young people express climate angst. Around climate change protests, tears linger. Youthful activists cite all too depressed signs and develop angst. They grieve for a future they worry they'll never have. Many young climate activists say they feel hopeless and overwhelmed. Psychologists say it's sometimes called climate change anxiety. Sarah Vaughan, a Chicago psychologist, said she sees the anxiety as relatively widespread. A sense of helplessness underlies the anxiety, Warren said. For young people, climate anxiety is a very tough thing for them to take. How grown-ups react is crucial to them. Many grown-ups are in their corner and recognize the anxiety. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, speaking at the UN on Wednesday, talked of children who write him letters about their concerns for their future, including about climate change. Our children have a right, not just to their future, but to their optimism, Morrison said. Above all, we must let our children be children, let our kids be kids, Let our teenagers be teenagers, while we do the work positively together to deliver the practical solutions for them and their future. Our children have a right not just to their future, but to their optimism. Morrison said. Above all, we must let our children be children, let our kids be kids, let our teenagers be teenagers, while we do work positively together to deliver the practical solutions for them and their future. Right, have right to, reserve the right 有保留权利有权 ，privilege 是指特权 ，right 普通用词指某人或某物拥有符合法律、道义或道德的权利。practical 切实可行的 practicable 可用的行得通的 practically theoretical useless unrealistic useless theoretical useless unrealistic 不真实的 theoretical useless. Above all, we must let our children be children, let our kids be kids, let our teenagers be teenagers, while we do the work positively together to deliver the practical solution for them and their future. 本句第一部分中 let our children be children, let our kids be kids, let our teenagers be teenagers 是三个并列的祈使句。第二部分的 while 做连词引导状语从句 to deliver 做状语，引出 do work positively together 的目的。Our children have a right not just to their future but to their optimism, Morrison said. Above all, we must let our children be children, let our kids be kids, let our teenagers be teenagers, while we do work positively together to deliver the practical solutions for them and their future. Many grown-ups are in their corner and recognize the anxiety. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, speaking at the UN on Wednesday, talked of children who write him letters about their concerns for their future, including about climate change. In one's concern, 支持某人, giving one's full support to someone. I'm nervous about the trio, but I'm glad I have you in my concern. I'm nervous about the trio. But I'm glad I have you in my concern. Concern 道路困境 cut concerns turn the concern 渡过难关 concerns for in one's concert in one's corner in their corner 怎么错了这么多啊？Concerns for a feeling of worry, especially one that is shared by many people, about, for, over, something, somebody, that. Concerns for there is growing concern about violence on television, anxiety. Concern 关心是 indifference 的反义词，侧重对他人健康、安全等的关心，也可暗示对困难、危险或失败等的忧虑。Care 强调因出于责任感或顾虑而产生的不安。Care Worry 侧重对未知事态演变的忧虑。Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, speaking at the UN on Wednesday, talked of children who write him letters about their concerns for their future, including about climate change. 句子的主干 Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison talked of children speaking at UN on Wednesday 做插入语 Who write him letters 是定语从句修饰 children. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison speaking at the UN on Wednesday talked of children who write him letters about their concerns for their future, including about climate change. In their corner, in one's corner, in one's corner. 支持某人。For young people, climate anxiety is a very tough thing for them to take. How grown-ups react is crucial to them. Grown-up 成年人 a full developed person for maturity onward. If you good, you can eat with the grown-ups. Grow up 长大成人 adult 成年人 be crucial to critical to be critical to crucial be critical of 对什么什么不满 crucial 决定性的紧要关头的至关重要的 be critical to the next 6 months will be critical to its long-term success. Crucial 决定性的紧要关头的至关重要的例句 It's critical that you study hard for the exam or you will feel it. It is critical that you study hard for the exam or you will feel it. Critical 它对缺乏的或危机的程度有更准确的衡量，还指批判性的、分析性的。Improved consumer confidence is crucial to an economic recovery. Crucial, be critical to 对什么什么起关键作用。For young people, climate anxiety is a very tough thing for them to take. How grown-ups react is crucial to them. Underlines 成为什么的基础 be or form the base for. This should help researchers focus on the specific immune system problems that underlie the disease. Underline 强调 but the differences underline the difficulty of understanding what is happening to the economy at present. But the differences underline the difficulty of the understanding what is happening to A sense of helplessness underlines the anxiety, Warren said. Sarah Warren, a Chicago psychologist, said she sees the anxiety as relatively widespread. Relatively 相当程度的相当的 relative small relative big. She sees the anxiety as relatively widespread to a fairly comparatively to a fairly large degree, especially in comparison to something else. Comparative, relatively speaking, 相对而言 I found the test relatively easy. Widespread, 普遍的、广泛的 general. Extensive, universal, comprehensive. There is widespread support for the new proposal exists or happens over a large area or to a great extent. A sense of helplessness underlines the anxiety, Warren said. Relatively. Widespread. Universe, extensive. Universal, comprehensive. Many young climate activists say they feel hopeless and overwhelmed. Psychologists say it's sometimes called climate change anxiety. Overwhelm 淹没、压倒、受打击。Overwhelmed with 以什么什么打击、压倒。Overwhelmed by 被什么什么压倒。He was overwhelmed by a longing for time pass. Many young climate activists say they feel hopeless and overwhelmed. Psychologists say it's sometimes called climate change anxiety. Around climate change protests, tears linger. Youthful activists cite all too depressing science and develop angst. They grieve for a future they worry they'll never have. Protest 抗议 parole 公开 test 验证 the act of seeing and showing publicly that you object to something. Protest against 反对抗议 under protest without protest 心甘情愿的不反对的 a protest march. The announcement raised a storm of protest. Protest 通过语言或文字进行或行为表示出强烈的反对抗议。Resist 用力量或意志抵抗、制止对方的入侵和影响等。Resist. Object 多指因厌恶或反感而反对，不一定明显的表露出来。Resist object. Resist protest. Protester. The announcement raised a storm of protests. A protest march. Around climate change protests. Linger. 逗留徘徊缓慢消失 to stay somewhere for longer because you do not want to leave. We lingered over breakfast on the terrace. Lingering 拖延的 lingering 延迟的逗留不去的 hang about wander linger 只在想待一会儿留恋不舍而逗留徘徊。Activist 积极分子活跃分子 Act形容词词尾 Ist a person who works to achieve political or social change, especially as a member of an organization with particular aims. Party activist, trade union activist, activate 激活 campaigner, advocate 支持者 cite quote to speak or write the exact words from a book, an author, etc. They cited Alex's refusal to return to the marital home. Depressing 令人抑郁的、令人沮丧的、令人消沉的。Making you feel very sad and without enthusiasm. Making you feel very sad and without enthusiasm. A depressing sight, a depressing thought, a depressing experience. Looking for a job these days can be very depressing. Grieve. If you grieve over something, especially someone's death, you feel very sad about it. If you grieve over something, especially someone's death, you feel very sad about it. He's grieving over his dead wife and son. He's grieving over his dead wife and son. He's grieving for his wife and dead wife and son. Grief 悲伤、悲痛、伤心。Grieve 通常指 因死亡、损失或失败等造成的内心痛苦。grieve 可以是公开表达的，也可以是压抑于内心的。mourn 正式用词，含义与 grieve 很相近，但侧重于某种原因而表现于外表的悲伤、哭泣。mourn grieve depressing quote cite activate campaigner advocate activist linger protest Around climate change protests, tears linger. Youthful activists cite or tour depressing science and develop angst. They grieve for a future they worry they will never have. A planet full of ifs. Young people express climate angst. Ifs 不确定的事，无把握的事。A situation that is not certain. No ifs and buts. No ifs and buts. There are still a lot of ifs and buts. There are still a lot of ifs and buts before evening's settled. Angst 焦虑担心 拉紧疼痛 a feeling of anxiety and worry about a situation or about yourself. Sounds full of teenager angst. Many kids suffer from akin and angst. Acne and angst. Anguish, anxiety. Angst, ifs,